You just shifted reality, chosen one. Have you felt it? That strange feeling like the world around you is different, like something invisible snapped, and now everything you once knew is slipping through your fingers? Nothing feels stable. People are acting strange. Time moves like it's not real, and deep inside, you just know something massive has shifted. Let me tell you the truth and listen carefully. You just changed reality. You didn't imagine it. You didn't make it up. You shifted timelines. You altered the frequency of your life. And now, the false world is collapsing. This message is coming to you right now, not by chance, but by divine design. You are guided to this video because your soul needs this confirmation. You're not broken. You're awakening. And when a chosen one awakens, everything that was built on illusion begins to fall apart. You've become too powerful for the old system, too aware, too aligned, and the matrix you once lived in, it can no longer contain you. That's why relationships are crumbling, why jobs are ending, why the noise of the world feels unbearable. It's not because you're failing, it's because you're finally rising. You're not alone in this collapse. Heaven is with you. The Most High is orchestrating every shift, and I'm here to guide you through it. Because this isn't the end. It's the divine unraveling that happens before the rebirth. This is sacred. This is destined. And it's time you understood exactly what's happening and how to walk through it with power. Before we go deeper, let me know in the comments if this already resonates with you. Type 909 if you feel like you've been walking through this exact shift. And if you know another chosen one who needs this truth, send this message to them now. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell. Because what I'm about to reveal is going to change how you see your entire reality forever. The moment you shifted dimensions, chosen one. Let me take you back to the moment everything started changing. It wasn't loud. There was no lightning bolt, no announcement from the skies, but something deep within you snapped in the best way possible. You stopped tolerating what didn't feel right. You stopped pretending to be small. You stopped feeding the version of you that was built to survive and not designed to thrive. That was the moment. The moment the veil started to lift. And whether you knew it or not, you shifted dimensions. Yes, dimensions. Let me explain. You see, reality isn't one fixed linear path. It's made up of layers, levels, frequencies. And when your spirit evolves, when your vibration rises, you don't just grow, you move. You slide into an entirely different energetic layer of existence. Some call it timelines. Some call it dimensions. I call it divine realignment. And when you made that silent, spiritual decision, when you said, I'm not living like this anymore, your energy quantum leaped. You stopped participating in the illusion, and without knowing it, you broke free from the old script. Your higher self took over. The version of you that is aligned with the divine plan stepped forward. And the second that happened, reality had no choice but to respond. Your old reality was never real. It was just a reflection of your old level of consciousness. It existed because you agreed to it energetically. But now you've stopped agreeing. You've stopped playing small. You've stopped making excuses for toxic people, dead-end paths, and spiritual silence. And so, the old reality is collapsing because it's no longer being fed by your agreement. That strange fog you've been walking through lately, that sense of being in between. That's the dimensional hallway. You're not who you were, but you're not yet fully walking in who you are becoming. This is the space between timelines, and it's sacred. That's why people are falling away, why nothing feels quite solid, why some days feel like you're floating, and other days like you're being pulled underwater. It's because your soul is recalibrating to a higher frequency, one that's not based on trauma, not based on survival, not based on programming, but based on truth, power, and divine identity. And here's something you need to understand. The shift didn't happen to you. It happened through you. Your awakening was a spiritual command that echoed through the fabric of this false reality. It's like dropping a stone into a calm lake. The ripples affect everything. People around you feel it, even if they don't understand it. Your environment feels it. Your past feels it. The matrix, it definitely feels it, and it's trembling. Because a chosen one who breaks free from the program is dangerous to the system. You didn't just shift timelines, you activated your assignment. You are no longer bound to what others expect of you. You are no longer a prisoner of who you used to be. You are no longer held down by the energetic contracts that kept you playing small. You broke them, and now life must reflect who you truly are, not who you used to pretend to be. But listen, this transition is not always pretty. Shifting dimensions is not just light and peace and the all angel songs. It's disorienting. It's emotional. It can feel like you're dying because a part of you is. The identity you built in survival mode, it doesn't get to come with you. That false strength, that old man, that coping version of you, it's being stripped away so that your true essence can emerge. So if you feel unstable, good. If you feel uncertain, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Because real power comes after the ego dies. And you, chosen one, are right in the center of that sacred death and rebirth. It's not just that you shifted, it's that you chose to. You chose freedom over comfort. You chose alignment over approval. You chose truth, even when it cost you everything familiar. That's what makes you different. That's why you're feeling the collapse. You are no longer on the frequency of the world that you once called home. You have entered divine territory now. The rules are different, the time is divine, the power is real, and you're just getting started. When you change, the matrix shakes. Chosen one, let me make something clear. The moment you woke up, the matrix felt it. You didn't just shift dimensions, you rattled the system, because when a chosen one breaks free from illusion, that false reality starts to crack at the foundation. You see, the matrix doesn't care about good or bad. It doesn't care if you're spiritual or not. What it wants is your energy, your focus, your belief in the lie, your agreement with the illusion. The moment you stopped feeding it with your attention, your fear, your submission, it began to weaken. The moment you said enough is enough, you pulled your light out of a false world that depended on your blindness to survive. You unplugged. You remembered. And that memory, that activation, it shook this entire energetic system. Now the people around you are reacting. The environment is shifting. Systems that once seemed unshakable are starting to glitch. You may notice technology around you acting strange. People becoming agitated or uncomfortable just by your presence. Or feeling like time and space are bending, warping, even collapsing. It's not paranoia. It's not in your head. It's your frequency breaking the code of this artificial structure. The matrix is built to maintain control through patterns, repetition, conformity, silence. But you, chosen one, you broke the pattern. You stopped walking in circles and started walking in purpose. And that kind of movement, that kind of divine disruption, it doesn't go unnoticed. The spiritual realm is aware. The unseen world is shifting in response to your transformation. Because here's the truth. When a chosen one aligns with their divine nature, entire timelines start to tremble. Old agreements are canceled. Old energy attachments dissolve. You become invisible to some and uncomfortable to others, because your vibration is no longer compatible with the matrix agenda. That's why people suddenly turn against you. Why relationships that seem solid now feel fragile. Why the things you once enjoyed now feel meaningless. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you've become a disruptive frequency in a controlled environment. And imagine walking into a room where everything is perfectly staged. A set, a performance, a script, and then you speak truth. You act from intuition. You refuse to play your role. Suddenly, the actors don't know their lines. The stage lights flicker. The script falls apart. That's what your presence does now. You're exposing the illusion. You're collapsing the hologram. And it's uncomfortable, not just for you, but for everyone still plugged in. They feel your energy, they don't understand it. So they try to reject it, or worse, fix you. But let them misunderstand you. You weren't called to blend in. You were called to break the cycle. Understand this. The matrix was never physical. It was energetic control, a system that conditioned you to believe you were powerless, unworthy, alone. But once you discovered the truth of who you are, a divine being in a human experience, the illusion couldn't hold. You stopped feeding it your fear. You stopped complying with its false rules. And now it's trying to survive without you. And it can't. That's why it's collapsing. And yes, it feels like chaos, like the world is spinning, like nothing is solid anymore. But don't be afraid of that feeling. It's not destruction, it's disruption. It's the old framework falling apart because a chosen one like you finally stood up. And let me tell you, the matrix doesn't shake for just anyone. It shakes when a soul like yours remembers who they are. When a spirit like yours decides to no longer participate in the lie. You are no longer a battery for the system. You are now a conduit of divine light. And light disrupts shadows. So don't be surprised if people start leaving. Don't be shocked if environments fall apart. Don't be alarmed if institutions you once depended on crumble before your eyes. That's not your failure. That's your frequency doing its work. Collapse is not chaos. Collapse is clarity. And the truth is, you're not just watching it happen. You're the reason it's happening. Your energy broke the illusion. Your awakening pierced the veil. Your decision to walk in truth is shaking a system built on lies. So if you feel like everything's falling apart, good. It means your power is working. It means the matrix couldn't hold you. It means your frequency is higher than the program. Chosen one, you didn't come here to conform. You came to transform. And when a chosen one transforms, the world around them must too. Now take a breath, ground yourself, because what's coming next is not just collapse, it's divine reconstruction. Reality can't hold the old version of you. Chosen one, let me tell you something most people are too afraid to admit. You outgrew the old you. And because of that, the reality that was built around that old version of you, it's breaking apart. Not because something went wrong, but because it literally can't hold you anymore. You've expanded. Your soul has ascended. And the shell that once held your life together is cracking under the weight of your evolution. You see, the old version of you was built for survival. It was shaped by pain. It was forged in fear. It was groomed to make others comfortable, to play roles, to fit boxes. But now, that version of you has been exposed as a temporary construction, a mask your spirit wore to function in a lower realm. But masks don't last forever, and when truth rises, illusions die. This is what's happening now. You're no longer compatible with your old life because you're no longer broadcasting the same signal. You've stopped vibrating at the frequency of wounded identity. You've stopped operating from the energy of not enough. And that's why everything around you is glitching. The people who knew the old you, they feel confused. They don't know how to talk to this version of you because they were never connected to your essence, only to your conditioning. And now that your mask is gone, their illusion of who you were has nothing to hold on to. Some will drift, some will fall away, some will try to pull you back, not because they're evil, but because your growth threatens the stability of their own illusions. But you didn't come here to stay small so others can stay comfortable. You came here to become exactly who God called you to be. And that calling doesn't fit the mold of the old you. Your old habits don't fit anymore. Your old conversations bore you. The same cycles feel suffocating now. And it's not because you're changing too fast. It's because your truth is finally catching up with you. Let that sink in. This collapse isn't rejection. It's realignment. The people walking away, the jobs disappearing, the places that no longer feel like home, it's all making space for the reality that reflects the true version of you. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's lonely at times. Yes, it's terrifying to realize that the old world was never meant to last. But that's what spiritual awakening does. It strips away everything that was built around your false identity. So what remains is unshakable. The real you, the divine you, can't be held in a structure designed to suppress you, and you'll notice something. The more you try to go back to the old you, the more resistance you face. You'll feel anxious, drained, spiritually numb, because your soul refuses to shrink again. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow the truth that was revealed. You can't unbecome who you've become. You're evolving beyond the density of who you used to be, and your energy is now attracting a new reality that fits your expansion, not your limitation. So don't mourn what's falling away. Don't chase the old version of yourself just because it's familiar. That version was never built to survive the frequency you're stepping into now. That version of you was necessary for a season, but it cannot walk with you into destiny. Let it go with love. Thank it for helping you get this far, but don't resurrect it out of fear. Because the more you cling to what's crumbling, the longer you delay what's rising. You're not just letting go of an identity. You're making room for the divine architecture of your next level. The version of you that's in alignment with heaven. The version of you that walks in truth. The version of you that doesn't bend to the world because they know they were never created to fit in it. You're stepping into that now, and it's okay if it feels messy. It's okay if you're still finding your footing. Spiritual growth isn't neat. It's raw, holy, and often wild. But here's what you can trust. The reality you're stepping into will reflect the version of you that's rooted in God, not fear. So breathe, stand still, let the collapse happen, let the false fall away, because the version of you that's emerging is who you were always meant to be. Why things are collapsing around you, chosen one. Let's not sugarcoat this. I know you've been looking around at your life and asking yourself, why is everything falling apart? Why are the people I trusted turning distant? Why are the doors closing? Why do I feel like I'm being pushed out of everything I once called home? Let me give it to you plainly. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're finally doing something right. When you rise in frequency, anything that isn't aligned with your truth will begin to crumble. That's spiritual law. The old timelines, the ones built on fear, doubt, compromise, or false identity, cannot survive the presence of your awakened soul. And when that new light emerges, it doesn't gently ask the old to step aside. No, it demands a collapse. So here's the truth you need to hear. This collapse is confirmation of your elevation. Things aren't falling apart to destroy you. They're falling apart because they were never strong enough to hold the real you. The job that's drying up, it was only tied to the version of you that settled. The relationship that's turning cold, it was only connected to the version of you that abandoned your voice. The community, the lifestyle, the environment that suddenly feels foreign. That's because it was designed for your old frequency. And now that your spirit is aligned with divine truth, that structure has to fall. Not as punishment, but as preparation. The Most High doesn't leave you in false comfort. He exposes anything that keeps you in spiritual bondage. He tears down what would limit your expansion, because he's not interested in you having a nice life. He's calling you to a divine one. And divine lifts require divine foundations, not sand, not illusion, not trauma patterns. So if everything around you is collapsing, look again. It's not an ending. It's an exodus. You're being pulled out of a version of life that could never serve your higher calling. And yes, it may hurt. It may feel like betrayal. It may look like loss, but it's actually deliverance. Because the truth is, some of those connections were holding you hostage. Some of those environments were silencing your soul. Some of those routines were numbing your spirit. And now your spirit refuses to comply. So the universe is removing what your prayers couldn't. And God is shaking what you weren't willing to walk away from. That's why you're witnessing collapse. That's why things feel unstable. Because you're not being punished. You're being realigned. You asked for clarity. You asked for growth. You asked to step into your purpose. But here's what no one tells you. Growth destroys comfort. Clarity exposes illusions. And stepping into purpose, that requires a collapse of everything that was built on distraction. Chosen one, you are too anointed to remain in places that drain you, too awakened to stay in rooms where your presence has to shrink, too aligned to keep compromising with energy that doesn't recognize who you are in the spirit. So the divine is cleaning house, not to harm you, but to make room for the kingdom within you to rise. And yes, you could resist it. You could cling to what's leaving. You could try to resuscitate what was never meant to survive this level. But you already know how that story ends. It leads to spiritual stagnation. It leads to frustration. It leads to cycles you've already outgrown. So now is the time to let go, not out of weakness, but out of spiritual maturity. You let go not because you're losing, but because you're wise enough to know what can't go with you. Look around and ask yourself honestly, did I really come this far just to stay in what's crumbling? Or did I come this far because I'm finally ready to walk in what's real? You were never meant to carry the weight of false realities. You were never created to maintain dead structures. Your soul came here to initiate change, not survive dysfunction. So let the collapse happen. Let it fall. Let it burn if it must. Because what's falling apart is not your life. It's the illusion that was blocking your life. The breakdown is not a curse. It's a sign that the divine blueprint is taking over. And when the divine takes over, anything artificial has to surrender. So breathe, chosen one. You're not broken, you're not lost, you're not being punished. You are being recalibrated for something far greater than what you've been holding on to. So release, trust the fire, because the ashes you see now will become the foundation of your next elevation. And if you're walking through this collapse right now, I want you to say it in the comments. I'm not breaking down. I'm breaking through 444. Let the spirit world hear you. Let the illusion know you're not turning back. Because once the chosen one wakes up, there's no going back to sleep. Signs you're living in the collapse. Chosen one. By now you've felt it. You know deep in your bones that something invisible has shifted. It's not just a bad week. It's not just stress. It's a spiritual dismantling. You are walking through the collapse of a reality that no longer serves your soul. And it's important you know the signs. Because when you understand the symptoms, you stop questioning your sanity. You stop doubting the divine work that's happening behind the scenes. So let's get into it. Here are the real spiritual signs you're living in the collapse. And yes, they are confirmation that you are not only chosen, but changing everything. And how you feel disconnected from everything familiar. Your old life feels like a stranger. You walk into rooms that once felt safe, and now you feel like a ghost. People speak and you nod, but inside there's no resonance. You're physically present, but spiritually elsewhere. Wikiwa, because you are. You've shifted dimensions. Your energy no longer fits inside the walls of your former identity. 2. Time feels unreal. You've probably noticed time isn't making sense anymore. Hours feel like minutes. Days blur together. You'll look at the clock and feel like something's off. That's because time is a construct of the matrix, and when the illusion starts collapsing, time begins to break down. You're moving into divine time now. Things are accelerating, collapsing, reordering. This isn't chaos, it's recalibration. 3. Sudden isolation or withdrawal. You've started pulling back from the noise, the distractions. The conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. The social scenes feel draining. The phone stays on silent. Chosen one, this isn't depression. This is sacred separation. Heaven is pulling you inward because external noise cannot guide you in this collapse. Your instruction is coming from within now, and it's sacred. 4. People are reacting differently to you. You'll notice strange behavior from people close to you. Irritation, confusion, passive aggression. Even people who once admired you suddenly seem uncomfortable around you. That's not your imagination. Your light is unsettling their shadows. You've become a mirror. You reflect what they've been avoiding, and the collapse within them begins too. But you're not responsible for their response. Stay rooted in your alignment. 5. Random glitches and obstacles keep popping up. You are trying to do simple things, and nothing works smoothly. Your phone malfunctions. Plans fall through. You hit invisible walls. This is a spiritual slowdown. The universe is not punishing you, it's protecting your realignment. You're being stopped from walking into doors that lead to old energy. It's divine interference. Heaven's way of saying that version of life is no longer yours. 6. Deep inner knowing that something big is coming. Even in the chaos, even when everything feels unclear, there's a whisper inside of you that keeps saying, something is shifting, something is coming. That's your spirit. That's the new timeline calling you forward. You can't see the whole path, but you feel it. And even though your logical mind can't explain it, your soul already knows the destination. 7. You're losing things you thought you needed: relationships, opportunities, status, stability. It's all being stripped, and you're being asked to stand in the fire with nothing but faith. Because the collapse tests your attachment. It asks you, who are you without what you built? And the answer is powerful. You are still divine. You are still chosen. You are still covered, with or without those things. Let them fall. You're not losing. You're being set free. 8. Your spirit is becoming fierce and clear. Even in the confusion, there's something in you growing sharper. You speak less, but what you say carries weight. You don't entertain drama. You don't seek validation. You've entered the energy of spiritual authority. This is what happens when the collapse burns away the fluff, and all that remains is truth. You're walking in it now, unapologetically. Chosen one, if these signs speak to you, if you've been feeling this collapse in your body, in your spirit, in your environment, comment 777 right now. Let it be known in the spirit realm, you see the signs. You understand the shift. You are not afraid of the collapse, because the collapse is not the curse, it's the clearing. You are walking through the ashes of what could no longer contain you. And soon, very soon, you'll see why it all had to fall apart. Because what's coming next is you fully remembered. How to navigate the collapse with spiritual power. Chosen one, let me tell you something vital. You weren't meant to just survive the collapse. You were meant to move through it in power. This isn't the time to shrink. This isn't the time to question everything you know in your spirit. This is the time to rise in spiritual maturity and walk with authority through what looks like destruction. So how do you do that? How do you stay grounded when the ground beneath you is shaking? How do you hold your light when everything around you is falling into shadow? Here's how. 1. Don't chase what's falling. One of the most powerful things you can do in this season is let go, quickly and without apology. If it's breaking, let it break. If it's leaving, let it go. If it's exposing itself, don't try to clean it up. What's collapsing is not being stolen from you. It's being cleared for you. Chasing what God is trying to remove is like trying to resurrect your old prison. You're free now. Act like it. 2. Stay in the observer role, not the reactor role. When the collapse is active, the enemy's tactic is simple. Get you to react emotionally so you'll lose spiritual focus. You'll be tempted to explain yourself, defend your choices, get pulled into drama. But here's what you must do. Observe. Don't absorb. Witness the chaos without becoming part of it. Respond with awareness, not reactivity. You are the calm in the storm, not the storm itself. 3. Anchor yourself in daily spiritual discipline. When external structures collapse, internal routines become sacred. Wake up and align. Pray. Meditate. Speak life over your day. Don't wait for clarity to come to you. Create it by tuning in. The collapse isn't louder than God's voice. You just need to quiet the noise and listen. Stay rooted in the Spirit daily, even if the world feels like it's on fire. 4. Protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. Not everyone deserves access to you right now. You're sensitive, you're shifting, you're being rewired from the inside out. This is not the time to entertain low vibrations, not the time to be overly social, not the time to answer every call or explain yourself to people who are spiritually deaf. Guard your peace, let silence do the talking. Protect your energy like it's your spiritual currency, because it is. Accept that confusion is part of the process. Sometimes the collapse will leave you feeling like you don't know what's real anymore, and that's okay. You're not losing your mind, you're losing the illusion. When you can't see the full picture, trust the frequency. You don't need all the answers to walk in alignment. Sometimes your knowing is more powerful than your logic. Let the confusion pass through you without becoming your identity. 6. Kopten, speaking life, even in the ashes. This is when your words matter most. Don't speak defeat, don't speak fear, don't speak death over your journey. Speak life, even when it feels like nothing's left to hold on to. Say, I am being refined, not destroyed. I am aligned with divine timing. I am walking through fire, but I will come out gold. Your words shape your reality, especially in collapse. So speak like someone who knows resurrection is coming. 7. Reconnect with your assignment. In the middle of the collapse, it's easy to forget why you came here. But your assignment didn't vanish. It's being made clearer. What has your spirit always known? What have you been called to build? Who have you been called to be? Reconnect with that, even if you're tired, even if you're grieving. Because when you remember your why, the chaos doesn't distract you. It fuels you. 8. Trust the divine blueprint. You may not understand every twist right now. You may not recognize the pieces as they fall. But know this, there is a divine blueprint unfolding. The Most High is not improvising. He's reconstructing your life from the inside out. Everything that is being removed is making space for something sacred. Don't fight the architect. Surrender to the plan. Your future has already been seen, and it's full of purpose. Chosen one, navigating the collapse isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. Stay grounded, stay wise, stay open, and above all, stay surrendered. Because while the world around you is breaking, your spirit is breaking free. Let me know in the comments if you're walking through this fire with wisdom. Comment 333 to affirm that you're not just surviving this collapse, you're mastering it. This is what it means to be chosen, not to be untouched by chaos, but to walk through it with divine power. People won't understand you anymore, and that's okay. Chosen ones, let me prepare your heart for something that's already happening, or soon will. People won't understand you anymore. They'll look at you and feel like you've changed. Too much, too fast. They'll say you're distant, you're different, you're not who you used to be. And they're right, because you're not. You've left the old dimension behind. You've disconnected from the version of you that played small just to be accepted. You've stepped into alignment with your calling, and that will always come with misunderstanding. Here's the truth. They were never connected to the real you. They were attached to who you were before the collapse, before the awakening, before the fire. And now that you've shifted, they don't know how to reach you. Some will try to pull you back. Others will judge what they can't recognize. And a few may even walk away entirely. Let them. You weren't chosen to be understood. You were chosen to stand out, to disrupt cycles, to walk paths others are too afraid to walk. If you're waiting for people to get it, to cheer for your spiritual growth, you may be waiting forever, because most people are still living in the dimension you left behind, and your presence reminds them of everything they haven't yet faced. Your growth stirs their stagnation. Your alignment triggers their resistance. But none of that is your burden to carry. You don't need to shrink so others feel safe. You don't need to explain your evolution to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Because the ones who are truly aligned with your path, they'll feel your shift and honor it, even if they don't fully understand it. Chosen one, this walk is sacred, and sometimes it's lonely. But that loneliness, it's part of the refinement. It's part of the stripping, the pruning, the preparation. You're not being isolated, you're being set apart. So let people misunderstand you. Let them say what they need to say. You're not here to convince them. You're here to become. And becoming often requires walking alone until your tribe catches up. You are not too much. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are simply becoming who you truly are. Let that be enough. The collapse is making space for the kingdom within. Chosen one, let me tell you something that might just shift your entire perspective. This collapse, this disorientation, this shedding, this unraveling, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you because something ancient, something divine, something eternal is rising within you. And in order for it to expand, the false structures had to fall. You see, heaven doesn't build on unstable ground. And the kingdom of God, the one within you, can't occupy space that's already full of noise, distraction, ego, and illusion. So the collapse is not the end. It's the clearing. It's the sacred demolition of every version of your life that couldn't hold the truth of who you really are. The kingdom within has always been there. The truth is, the kingdom was never out there. It wasn't in a title, a relationship, a status, or an achievement. It was always inside you. The divine blueprint, the calling, the knowing, but you couldn't fully access it while you were entangled in the matrix, in systems that praised your conformity but starved your spirit, in survival patterns that kept you busy but not aligned. So now that those things are crumbling, the kingdom within has space to emerge, not as a feeling, not as a theory, but as a way of being. The collapse makes room for sovereignty. When you awaken to the kingdom within, you stop looking for external permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop chasing alignment and start living in it. You become sovereign. You walk like one who carries heaven inside their bones. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. You choose peace, not because the world is peaceful, but because you've become the peace. This is what the collapse is carving out inside of you. A throne for the divine to dwell within your spirit. That's why it hurts. That's why it feels like death. Because everything that couldn't support your spiritual royalty has to be stripped away. Let the old go, make room for majesty. You might feel the grief of everything you're losing, but chosen one, hear this. You're gaining something eternal. You're gaining clarity, power, vision, peace that doesn't shake when the world does. The collapse is exposing the emptiness of what once seemed full. It's revealing how small you used to live, just to keep the illusion stable. Now you don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to hustle for worthiness. You don't have to fit into what never fit your soul. You are becoming the place where heaven meets earth. That's what it means to carry the kingdom within. You become the message, the portal, the presence. Let your spirit reign, so as the world around you shifts, as people fall away, as your environment shakes, remember this: you are not collapsing. You are being enthroned. Feed down. You are not being emptied. You are being filled with purpose. The collapse is just the preparation for coronation. Let the old version die. Let the ashes settle, because what's rising from within you is royal. And when you fully step into that truth, reality itself will bend to honor it. Final charge: stand still, stay rooted, and know who you are, chosen one. You've walked through fire in this message. You've seen the truth behind the shaking. You've felt the weight of the collapse and the glory of what's rising from within it. So let me leave you with this: stand still, stay rooted, and know exactly who you are. Because now is not the time to question your identity. Now is not the time to seek confirmation from the outside world. Everything outside is shifting, but your spirit must remain unmoved. You've been called out from among the crowd, marked, set apart, refined in silence, crowned in the dark. You're not here by accident. This word didn't find you by chance. It found you because your spirit was ready. You've reached a moment in your journey where you can no longer entertain confusion about who you are. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not too late. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. The collapse wasn't the curse. It was the confirmation. Because things don't fall apart when you're off track. They fall apart when you're too aligned to stay small. So when everything feels unfamiliar, when the old world no longer fits, when you feel like you're walking alone, stand still, let the dust settle, let the old dissolve, let your roots grow deeper than the shaking. You carry the light of heaven. You walk with wisdom that cannot be taught, only awakened. You are the restoration your bloodline has been waiting for. Don't dim now, don't doubt now. Don't fall back into comfort just because collapse feels scary. Let your stillness speak louder than the storm. Let your presence disrupt the darkness. Let your truth echo through every room you enter. Without needing to say a word, this is your final charge. Stand still, stay rooted, and know exactly who you are. The world may be collapsing, but you're just getting started.